All right, founders, welcome to another pitch deck critique and review. And this time I've got my friend Andrew Thompson. Now, full disclosure, I've been working with Andrew and he's in the running to be selected for our Angel YouTube Investment Angel Syndicate Advisory Sponsorship Fund. So I have a keen interest in making this deck work, and that's the spirit in which I'm giving this pitch deck critique and review. If you have your own pitch deck critique and review, stay till the end of the video. I will explain to you how you can submit that and send that in. Before I continue, my name is Ed Kang, seven-time funded founder, 2 exits. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for startups.com. I'm here with an audience, this is fun, to talk about this pitch deck critique and review, and we send out hundreds of emails every single day to, our system does, to investors. I understand what's going on there. And I have personally raised over $100 million myself for other startups and other startup funds. I work with a team at startups.com that has helped raise, I believe, $750 million. And the startups have gone on to raise billions of dollars. So we've helped them get their start. So I'm here to give a pitch deck critique and review and really help founders. And I appreciate all founders that are willing to submit their pitch decks and have the courage to run through this gauntlet. We're going to walk through this pitch deck, and then I'm going to explain how I would like to see the pitch deck changed and adjusted so that I can actually introduce Andrew to other angel investors and help him, raise capital. This deck is in a pre-seed state, and even though you could make an argument that Andrew's ready for a seed, you don't want to do that yet. And I'll explain why in just a moment. He's trying to raise $250K, but I'm going to argue that he should raise $500K. Let me stop and explain this for just a moment. If you already have customers and you're already raising funds, or you've already raised funds, but if you're going to raise more money, he's already raised money and is making money, well, then you want to get to traction and you want to get to a seed round, because that's just the natural flow of it, pre-seed to seed. But if you're in this kind of wonky middle where you don't have enough traction for seed, but you're too advanced for pre-seed, it sometimes makes sense to go and raise pre-seed or maybe a bridge round, basically to get institutional investors in the game at pre-seed, because they're going to be more interested at pre-seed prices with seed level traction. And that's where I'm going to argue, and if I had my way, I'd have every founder only raise $500K pre-seed. Checks and raising funds under $1 million of pre-seed is so much easier. $1 million, raising $1 million at pre-seed is very difficult, but under, the checks have stayed consistent, and that's what I recommend. Then you get the initial investors in at a good price, and they'll be more interested in helping you participate in seed. Because remember, if you go on for seed funding, those pre-seed investors, their investment immediately gets a boost. They immediately start making an ROI, at least on paper. And so Andrew here is in this kind of weird middle, and we're going to have conversations. I'm going to be having ongoing conversations with Andrew about this strategy. Let's take a look at this deck, and I'm going to break it down for you. Now, Andrew did admit to me, he sent me a quick Loom video saying this deck is a little outdated and he's got some other things. So I'm going to give him advice. Andrew, I got advice for you on how I would do this deck and how I want to see changes so we can continue to work together. First, on the cover slide, field service management. This means nothing to me. I have no idea what field service management is. I want to make sure that this tagline here is being used for maximum benefit. Now, here's the best part with what my main man Andrew did. If we continue looking at this, we have the response that I'm looking for on the next page. An FSM system with marketing tools and a phone system that helps customers grow their business. So this is kind of the version that you want, and it still needs a little bit work. So field service management. So just explain it. On the cover here, say field service management platform for marketing and sales and all that good stuff. Combine these two somehow, but get rid of this. We do not need this. Just put this on the cover slide and make it very straightforward in terms of an elevator pitch. Your unique value proposition in a one-liner that says to the investor very clearly, this is what we are building. You do not want catchy marketing slogans that talk to the customer. The investors might not have the problem. Don't talk to the investor like they're the customer. Just say, we're building this for these customers and in this industry. And then you've got winner, winner, chicken dinner, what you want on that. So combine the cover and this original slide. Next, we got the problem. So here's what I like. I like the fact that problem is small up in the top. HSBOs are forced to juggle multiple apps, which is too complicated, too expensive. So you got all this data. 50% of the 2.5 million HBSOs can't afford it. other 50% are juggling multiple apps, etc. So you've got all this here. So this is one of those instances where we have put way too much data on this problem slide. Way too much. Now remember, I am explaining how to do a screener introductory deck. This is the deck that goes as a link. So you've uploaded to the cloud and a link goes and says, look at this deck, click here, and then it pops up to a deck, which is probably a PDF because it needs to be viewable on mobile and it needs to be on the go, that they can look at and they can scan through 10 to 12 slides max, that they can put you in the, all right, maybe let's contact them for a meeting to see the full meal deal. An investor does not have time to read all these bullet points. But Andrew, all this is fantastic. All this information is good information. This is what typically founders do. They have all the right information. It's just not packaged in a way that cuts through the noise that an investor will actually take a look at. So let's look at home service business owners, all right? And don't get into acronyms, just say home service business owners. That's our user. So we want to make sure that we have the user and then we have the size, the scope, and the severity of the problem in a stark headline. And we already have a stark headline. It's just not very good. We want to say something like there are 2.5 million home service business owners, or cut it in half. Say 1.25 million home business service owners can't afford an app, can't afford a software to help them run their business, or are wasting money on how many apps, juggling, and I know there's data coming in there, like 5 different apps, creating inefficient environment and losing money. You see what I'm getting at? So tell me how many home service business owners have this problem, and then what they're dealing with and how much it's costing them. They either can't afford it and they're losing money, or they are missing all this business, leaving 50% revenue on the table, or they're wasting money, or they're overspending by $50 million a year, all these businesses, because they're using multiple apps. So we want to get into one headline. And now I know Andrew has spent a lot of time talking to the customers. You take all that data and you combine it into one clear sentence, and maybe you've got 3 words as bullets in the bottom, but here's what else you can do. You can show the current state. And I'm going to get to the point where this is the reason I like Andrew's deck in terms of the content, because here, this is the problem. So now we've got 2 problem slides, and an investor's not going to look at that. So you want one problem slide. Here's how they solve it today, and they've got all these different things. We've got the scope and the severity of the problem right here, which is great. So now I know I've got them spending $600 a month using all these services. Why can't you just have one stark headline in the top on a problem slide and just say 1.25 million home business service owners suffer from this problem, and then have a person in there and then show all these apps and they're overspending, and then show all these apps that they're using, right? And show how fragmented it is, and then explain the dollar that it's costing them and they're wasting. So take $600 a month and then times that by 12. But what you want to do is you want to make sure the math lines up and says they're overspending on all this money, and explain this is the current state and get it into one slide. One slide, please. And now you'll know the problem. And you can say they can't even afford $600 a month, and I completely understand. So now that we've set that up as your problem, we better solve it. Solution: Autopilot solves the problem by providing customers with marketing tools, a powerful phone system, the ability to track data, such as ad spend, repeat customers, much more, all in one place. If you tell investors that the problem is the current solutions are slow, manual, and expensive, then your solution needs to say it's fast, automated, and 10% of the cost. So you literally have to go check by check, solve the problem in the solution, point by point. So let's talk about where we're come from in terms of the problem. We've explained the problem is twofold. One is that there are 1.25 million of these companies that either can't afford it, or they're spending $600 a month on too many apps. And that's going to be important because you want to explain that you understand the problem intimately. And Andrew does, which is really great because he's experienced this. So here's the thing. If you've got the problem, let me pull out my pen here and make sure that you either can't afford it, can't afford. So this is the problem, can't afford it, or too many, then that's what you have to solve for in this statement. So you literally have to say autopilot provides all the functions, and you don't have to explain this phone system, ability to track data, all this stuff. You don't have to explain it. You say, but HBSOs, I think is what we're calling them, that they can get everything they need to run their business in one platform at a fraction of the cost. So explain that you are 10% of the cost of your competitors or 50% of the cost. I think that Andrew really is, if I look at it here, I believe he's got a $99 solution, right? So if it's a $99 solution, he's literally at 16% of the cost. So you just say that autopilot combines everything in one platform that you need at 16% of the cost of using all the other apps. And now we've done problem solution. So I don't need all this detail in here. Maybe if you want, you can put like just a small graphic of down here, customer acquisition, and just spell it out, customer acquisition, phone system here, email, invoicing, all that stuff. And maybe just have a few bullet points explaining how it's all in one system, right? This plus this in one system. That's how you're going to do the solution slide. Now, here's the solution. I don't need to see this. You could put it in this screenshot and how it works, including how it works, but I don't need 2 solution slides. Don't give me 2 solution slides. Give me 1 solution slide. Now, what I'm expecting is that I see a market size slide next. You go problem, solution, market size, and I know this. Okay, spoiler alert. There's another solution slide, right? Here's of all this. You can put this in the how it works slide. Let's workshop this together. But I need problem, solution, and then this is good information. Don't get me wrong. And most founders always have really great information. We just have to format it. So I need to see market size. No, it's another solution slide. Okay, marketing sequences allow. This is more how it works slide. Okay, I'm going to skip over this just for a moment. The competition, the issue that I have with this slide right now is that this does not give you enough information and it looks tilted and it just doesn't explain how differentiated you are. Now, in the case of the dimensions, using this type of analysis, this is kind of like a quarter of a magic quadrant. Easy to use. I get it. Easy to use. That's what customers want, and expensive. So now basically you're saying that this is cheap. I'm not going to use that word here. Okay. And then hard to use. Now this is very confusing. And then you put autopilot up here. Here's going to be a better way to do it, Andrew. I want you to use a matrix. You're going to put all on the left-hand column, all the different things the customers want, all right? So, for example, automated phone. So phone, then you want email follow-ups, all the stuff right? Invoicing, everything in one sort of thing. And then you want to put something like cost in and then up at the top across the board, you're going to have autopilot. This is you. So we're going to have autopilot. And then you're going to have Jobber, WorkWiz, House Call Pro, all these other things. And then we're going to just see a very straightforward X and O, okay? Not X and O, checks and X's, right? So autopilot's going to have all these things, and it's going to have $99 a month. And then all these is going to be X, they're going to do one thing. And then eventually what I'm going to see is that, yeah, they can use all the software. If you use all these competitors up here, then sure, I will get everything for $600 a month. But autopilot has everything they need in one thing. You're saying my differentiation is it's all in one spot. And then you're going to have a headline up here that says autopilot is the software that combines all the features in one platform. So that's going to be your headline up top here, so that what happens is the investor reads and says, I know what Andrew's trying to illustrate with this features matrix. And all I have to do is read it and know what I should expect to read using one headline. And I cannot stress this clearer enough. All your slides, everyone, all your slides need to have one stark headline. One sentence. I always say maximum 30 words, one sentence, and it needs to be substantial enough, stark enough, so that the investor says, I know what to expect from this slide. Or if they skip the rest of your slide, they know exactly what they're going to be looking at, or they don't need to see the rest of the slide. It needs to be a stark headline. So there should be a headline at the top of every single slide. So that's what you want to do. Now, let's go back to how we want these slides to work. I want problem, solution, then I want how it works. And in the how it works slide, this is actually closer. Let me take a look at this. Closer. In this case, Andrew, what I'm probably looking for is a how it works slide that actually just has autopilot in the middle and has all the things that work like this, right? All in one spot. And then you can show the screenshots because that's what you're saying. Your differentiation is you're putting this all in one spot, right? So this is your A. Autopilot is right here in the middle. That's what we probably need to figure out and make it very simple so that the investor goes, okay, I don't know how it all works together, but that's super nice. And you put the screenshot right in the center here. Or what you do is have the screenshot and then just highlight the different things and just say, hey, this is what we do here all in one spot. But careful that it doesn't get super busy. That's all I need in your solution slide. Don't get into anything else in terms of what marketing sequences allow. The investor does not care about that right now. What the investor cares about is understanding how unique your situation, your solution is compared to everything else out there. Getting back to the order: problem, solution, market, how it works, and then I want a business model. I know I got a business model slide. And then you get into competition. Vision, get rid of this, okay? Don't need the vision. Nobody cares. And your vision, on top of which you're adding problem statements that we don't need to have, right? You can say what Salesforce, all this stuff, that's not going to be necessary. What you could do, here's the interesting thing, Andrew. You could say it somewhere that in your bullets, you could put Salesforce, so Salesforce plus HubSpot plus whatever thing all in one package. You could do something like this. But you got redundant information. 2.5 million home service companies in the U.S. alone. I already know this. Right? Jobber has 3.5. Jobber better show up in your competitive analysis, right? 20K companies. No, but that's not your vision. That's just a current state of what is. So now you're just sharing redundant information that I don't need to see. Don't be redundant, right? Juggling multiple apps. It's already in your problem statement. 50% still using pen and paper because they can't afford it. You've already said it. Maybe you want to include pen and paper in your problem statement, but that's what you want to be thinking about. So we don't need a vision slide, everyone. Do founders need to have vision? Yes, 100%, absolutely. You need to have vision. Investors want to make sure that you are addressing problem solution and you can make money and get traction and you can start to disrupt something, solve a problem that's worth solving first. Then you've got vision. So Mark Zuckerberg has a vision. He has a vision for AR. He had a vision for connecting everybody in the world and all these things. Investors need to see that he could solve one problem, helping people organize their social graphs and get people at Harvard talking to each other and having a social experience and get on board and use the app and have lots of usage time. Great. He did that. If he started off with vision and said, we're changing the way that everybody connects with their social graphs and makes friends, and they're going to get all the way into, meta, in terms of the metaverse and virtual reality, and we're envisioning a world where you're jacked into headsets and playing games and having social experiences, nobody would have paid attention to Mark Zuckerberg in the beginning. It was just all very straightforward. We have this thing and it does this, and we got lots of users doing this one thing because it solves a problem. There's a social connection, and then the vision comes in later. Now, where can you put in vision? If you want to include vision anywhere, put it on your last slide. All right? On your contact slide, join us in our vision to connect the world in one position at a time and all those things. And then talk with vision when you're socializing and you're presenting to the investor. Be the founder that's brimming with enthusiasm, optimism, and vision, and just say this: once we solve this problem, it is going to change the world, and investors will love the fact that you're visionary. Don't put it in and junk up your pitch deck and miss the opportunity, even get to the point where you're having that conversation by being redundant with all this vision information in your pitch deck. Next, traction. This is the best part. I'm going to tell you right now, founders, all of you founders out there, stuff like this makes me want to shed a tear, all right? Because traction says all. Now, the way we present this traction will be important. And Andrew did a really smart job making sure he updated this traction slide, because we yelled at him if he didn't. But he sent me a message saying, I updated traction slide. And I know he did just for me. 170 paying customers, 200 raised from crowdfunding, 3,500 people on the wait list. Okay. 1,200 loyal YouTube subscribers, 3,000 Discord members, 35,000 Facebook group members, okay? This is what you want to do. You want to have a headline that says right at the top here, so get rid of this, my subscribers are waiting, better solution, ready to pay. In X months, okay, let me just do this. X months, we now have 170 paying customers and have made X amount of revenue. Make that as your top line there, revenue. So big Stark headline. So I want to know, wow, Andrew moves fast. And then you can have bullet points in here, 200,000 raised, crowdfunding, 3,500 waiting list, and you can have that. What I would really love to see is a traction graph month over month, different things. Now, we might not be there yet. This is supposed to go up and to the right, right? Up and to the right. So break down your numbers, everyone. If you have the ability to break down your numbers and make it granular week over week or month over month, how many people are joining your wait list, or show something that there's momentum. Because think about it for a second. If you don't tell me the time, let's say that you told me you have 170 paying customers. Great. How long did it take you to get those 170 paying customers? 2 years. That's not a startup I'm going to invest in, right? There's not enough momentum, hyper growth. But if you told me from launch, we have 170 paying customers in the first month, and look at the way our signups and our wait list is increasing, then you've got my attention because you're showing speed. So break it down, or at least give me a time frame to explain how fast you've achieved it. Anybody can develop a product, everyone. All right. But distribution is going to be the biggest challenge. You see how easy it is to build products now? I went through the holidays and used AI, an AI no code generator, to code a product for me. And it was better than anything that I've paid $50,000 for an MVP in previous years. Traction is going to be the name of the game. So if you can show that you've got distribution going on, which Andrew does, Facebook groups, people on his waiting list, all those things, we can show the rate in which we're growing, investors are going to be a lot more interested. And I really hope, Andrew, that's what you've been hammering on over and over. So this slide, chef's kiss, in terms of the data, it can just be organized a little better. Market. Now I wanted this slide after problem, solution, market size. And Andrew's already going to know. He already said he knows. 657 billion. That is not your TAM. Okay, that is not your TAM. Yeah, that's the size of the market, but that's not your TAM. Your TAM needs to be the 2.5 million users that you potentially have that own home service-based businesses, home-based service, whatever, home service business. Oh yeah, home service business owners times what you think you're going to charge them the money equals your TAM. And then, so this is 2.5. So really your TAM is really your SAM here. All right. So that's going to be your TAM. I don't know if 20 billion is going to be the number. And then your SAM needs to be the area that we're going to focus on. So this is good. Junk removal companies. So here's what you say. So there are 10,000 junk removal companies. We're going to focus on junk removal companies first. And if we do that, we should be making gads of millions of dollars, right? So let's calculate. Let me see if your SAM, okay, which right now is your SOM, is big enough. So let's say that you just get your base price of $99, right? So you're going to be making $1,188 a year times 10,000 businesses is 11 million. That is not a big enough SAM, right? You have to increase the price. So we need to find a better justification of where you're going to focus as far as your SAM is concerned. Andrew, in your case, I would move junk removal companies to your go-to-market strategy. That's what I do. Just figure out a way to chunk it down so your TAM is big. It needs to be in the billions, which is 20 billion. So this is your TAM. Your SAM, what's your focus? What's your business model worth? And then figure out, based on your projections, that you should be doing $100 million, $200 million in 5 years if everything goes to plan and you get the investment that you need. All right. So we need to work on that. Andrew, obviously, lots of videos I have on my channel to help you out with that. So we got the CEO. Now, remember how Andrew said he experienced this? Now, I know for a fact that Andrew built his own junk removal business. And I know for a fact that he did millions of dollars in revenue, reached $1 million in revenue, it was millions, and then he sold it. I know that for a fact. Why is that not on the team slide? I don't understand. Now, I like the fact that he's coding, he's technical, which is really important. So, Andrew, I need bullet points and just say, built a junk removal business to X amount of revenue. Exited, sold that business. I have 15 years as a software engineer. Here are my skills. Bang. Done. Now I need Ryan. He's CTO, which is great, 10 years. Now I need to know, 10 years coding experience. I need to know what he's worked on, like what does he specialize in? And then if you can, I'd like a headline. You're going to need a headline anyway. I want to know how you two worked together, how you met. We worked on projects before, or we've been, working together for X amount of months, etc. So this is important, everyone. An investor is going to ask you right out of the the gate. How did your team meet? And if you tell them, oh, we met at a hackathon the other weekend and decided to become co-founders, that's going to be a no-go. That's a red flag right away. The more experience and the reps that you have between the co-founder, and you can explain the cohesiveness of why you're working on the things that you do and why you work together and why you're the team to win, the more the investor is going to be impressed. Why? Because at early stages, we invest in teams, not in products, not in solutions, because you're going to be wrong 99% of the time. Every founder who's been successful is going to tell you. And if you look at some of the major pivots that have happened, the team is responsible for the pivot. This is going to be absolutely critical. And so that's the reason you want to show that your team has got chemistry and that you're gelling together. All right. Founder market fit. All this could have been on the previous slide. Like, this is all good stuff. Put it on the other slide, Andrew. Yeah. 2.1 million gross. See, I knew it. And so all the stuff that you can put in there. And then business model, this should have gone after your how it works slide. We are SaaS making money from subscription market. And this is great. Perfect. $49.99, $149 a month. Perfect. That's all you need. So this slide is good. We are raising $250K. Okay. So everyone, here's the key. This is the formula that you need to do. We are raising, okay? Raising. This is how you do an ask slide. Okay. You're raising X dollars, X millions of dollars, or whatever, hundreds of thousands of dollars, Y milestone in Z time frame. Okay. So that's how you want to do. So it needs to be something like, we are raising $250,000 to get to 1,000 customers and generate $5 million within 12 months. Okay. So that's as simple as do. And then just use of funds. Okay. Use of funds, please. Use of funds. And it doesn't have to be tricky. Just put use of funds so that the investors know that you've got that figured out. So we're going to put 10% into this, etc. And that's how you end the slide. That's your last slide. As promised, if you're a founder out there, if you're part of startups.com, everyone, you get pitch deck reviews just as part of the community. So we're really happy to have you around and appreciate all the support. Do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, do all that, the YouTube stuff. If you're out there and you just want your pitch deck critique and review, you want to send me a message, leave a comment on this video and say, I'd like a pitch deck critiqued and reviewed. And I'm going to send you a response. I'm going to have you jump through a few hoops to make sure that your pitch deck is ready for a critique and review. I'm no longer going to be just from members outside of startups.com. I'm no longer going to be reviewing pitch decks that aren't at a certain standard of design in terms of, it doesn't have to look pretty, but is formatted with the proper slides, because I'm going to just repeat myself over and over again, and it doesn't help. When you can just go to one of my YouTube videos and learn from it and then get deeper, we go have a deep dive, and we really work through feedback that's going to be helpful for you and the rest of my community, because I want everybody to learn. So I always appreciated your courage, but make sure that you follow, and I'm going to ask you to acknowledge that's the process. Happy to get that going for you. And please be patient. I prioritize everybody through startups.com first and then everybody else, because it's just a stack. So appreciate your patience. And we get to it. That's it. Thanks for checking this pitch deck critique and review out. Andrew, thanks. Look forward to chatting with you. Look forward to the next revision of this. And then anybody want to reach out to Andrew, if you've got feedback, just comment there and you can find him and we'll go from there. I'll see you in the next video.